I was in the middle of my PhD, cancer research. So I thought I was the best prevention scientist ever. I thought I was, I'm never going to get cancer.
Here you are in research for cancer and you're helping and understanding it. You're in your best shape in your life. What was your thought after getting processed that news?
I didn't think it would really be cancer because, again, I'm coming from an epidemiological background. And so for me, less than 1% of all cases of breast cancer are diagnosed under the age of 30.
More and more these days, those that are getting diagnosed with cancer are becoming younger. It used to be thought of as an old person's disease, but that's not the case.
That's when it became real for me because they're not going to send you for a biopsy unless it's indicative of that. So in my head, I'm saying, oh, I got cancer. And I was spinning. I was like, oh, Lord, oh, Jesus, help me.
LaShae is an example of what life can be like after cancer. Hello, hello, hello. This is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. And you know me, as I always say, as I always bring another phenomenal guest to the show. But listen to me, more and more these days, those that are getting diagnosed with cancer are becoming younger. And it used to be thought of as an old person's disease, right? Oh, cancer, oh, you must be old. But today, that's not the case. I mean, you can see more and more, and I can speak from my perspective as being in the clinic, actually treating these patients. People are getting younger. And so you want to know, let's get into the mindset, what's going on with people that are younger. See, I'm bringing this up because our next guest, she was diagnosed when she was 26 years old. And so when you're thinking in your 20s, man, you're living your life. You're out here, you're partying. For the most part, you're finding out who you are. You're trying to establish your career, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. But to get diagnosed with a cancer at 26, I mean, what's going on? That's a huge shift. So this is for those that are younger than being diagnosed. Hopefully you can walk away with some gems. No, not hopefully. You will walk away with some gems today. I want you to make sure, look, this next guest, she's from the Bahamas. Okay. So if anybody knows the island life, listen, this next person is coming from there, but please don't play her short. She is not only a person who has got her bachelor's, got her master's, she's working on her PhD right now in research. You heard me, research. We need more people like this out here in the research realm, helping us discover. So please bring with me our next phenomenal guest. We're talking about LaShae Rolle. LaShae, welcome to All Talk Oncology.
Woo! I am so happy to be here.
Come
Happy
on.
to be living. And Kenny, you are our cancer guy. I like that. I really
Yeah,
like that. But
I
what
appreciate
I really like what you highlighted is something that we as cancer patients who are younger ask. We ask, are you seeing people who are younger in the clinic? And you just confirmed it because we're wondering, are we weird or is there an uptick? And obviously, that's what you said. And, like you said, it is very different to be diagnosed young because even though there is a rise, when we go to the clinic and we walk in, all the people there are old. They're looking at me like, girl, what you doing here? What? People got cancer who coming in here, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm here for the same thing you here for. I went with my mom one day. They told her to go on the scale, and I'm like, no, I'm the patient. So, it's something, and this is why we're here. This is why we bring awareness.
I'm 100%. 100%. LaShae, I'm going to tell you right now, it's been interesting,
Mhm.
just to see that, over the years when I first started this, 2 decades ago, I mean, obviously, there's always young people that are being diagnosed, but it wasn't as many. You didn't see as many. But today, I'm seeing a lot more. I was just talking to one of the patients. She came in. Her kids were off on a little break. They had like a little break in school, and there she was, a young mom, the kids. I was like, this is crazy, to see this. You normally didn't see that. So we're gonna jump into it. We're gonna talk about what you've been going through. So talk to me. You got this huge banner in the back there. Strong after cancer. I mean, we're gonna jump into this, but let's do this. Let me ask you. Prior to diagnosis, tell us a little bit about LaShae, who she is, what she was doing, what was life like with you, and walk us through a little bit of that.
I love this question. Let's go back in time. Let's go to the old LaShae, the LaShae before cancer. That girl, she was something. She was something. She was hustling and bustling and really working hard. She was not thinking about doing nothing related to going to no doctor. She was like, she is one of those people who you talk about, the young invincibles. I was powerlifting actually. I right before I was diagnosed, I had a powerlifting competition where I squatted what was it, 440 pounds. I bench pressed 292 pounds and I deadlifted 496. That's a female who was drug tested. They drug tested me after that. So I was a clean female. I was eating right and I was in the middle of my PhD. And guess what my PhD was on? Cancer research focused on lifestyle modifiable risk factors like diet, exercise, sleep, stress, all of that. So I thought I was the best prevention scientist ever. I thought I was, I'm never going to get cancer. I used to actually almost kind of brag about the fact that I was one of the only people in my family who did not have um a disease, like some sort of disease, a non-communicable disease of that nature. Because most people in their family, they got somebody with diabetes, hypertension, obesity, what's not. But I had none of those. And then when we look forward right now, I got the worst one possible. So it's crazy, but that's who LaShae was. LaShae, I was like not, focused on anything related to, you know, diseases or any comorbidities. I had nothing wrong with me essentially. I was just living my life and thank God I, felt a lump through a self breast exam and I moved on it.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. I mean, not only are you smart, but actually strong. I mean, you're talking about deadlifting 400 some odd
Mhm.
pounds, picking out a bench pressing. You are just a beast. You know what I mean? I love that. A strong, smart woman. And you mentioned the diagnosis. What was it? What was the end result of that diagnosis?
Yeah, so turns out that lump in my breast was much bigger than I thought. It was multicentric breast cancer, so that means it was in multiple quadrants. So it was in four quadrants of my breast. It was taking up the whole of my breast, 2 centimeters away from my pec muscle, and then 1 centimeter away from my nipple. And that was stage 2B, ER positive, HER2 negative breast cancer. And so I had to have first surgery. I had a unilateral mastectomy, followed by chemotherapy and then radiation. So I met with you.
For sure. We're gonna make sure we zap that. But that must have been quite a bit, right? I mean, what a shift. Here
Mm-hmm,
you are in research for cancer and you're helping and understanding it. You're in the best shape in your life.
mm-hmm.
And it's something like this happens. What was your thought process after getting that news?
I mean, it was just so overwhelming in the beginning because, to be honest, I was actually just trying to do my due diligence by checking that out. I didn't think it would really be cancer because, again, I'm coming from an epidemiological background. And so for me, less than 1% of all cases of breast cancer are diagnosed under the age of 30. So I'm thinking I have a very, very low likelihood of getting that. But I want to do my due diligence because, again, what you don't want to do is for you to be in that minute percentage and then you go regret it because you had felt a symptom, you had something, some sign. And lo and behold, I was in that small group, and I am so grateful that I got it checked out and that the doctor believed me and sent me to get that mammogram and ultrasound. Because, as you know, when you're younger, they don't send you to go ahead and do that. But the doctor said, while I don't think it's anything, I think it's fibrous tissue, I'm still going to send you off to go and get that checked out. And, they saw it immediately upon putting that ultrasound wand on. They immediately saw something was off and, you know, I got it checked out. And so for me, that whole process from the radiologist said you need a biopsy. That's when it became real for me because they're not going to send you for a biopsy unless it's indicative of that. And then I saw it said BI-RADS 5, and that means you had a 95% chance or more of being diagnosed with cancer. So in my head, I'm saying, oh, I got cancer. And I was spinning. I was like, oh Lord, oh Jesus, help me. And I had to explain that to my parents, and they were like, what's happening? They immediately came over to Miami because they're in the Bahamas, and they were stressed out.
I can imagine. I mean, their baby girl has been diagnosed with cancer. I can imagine that. And then you hearing this and being in research and then hearing that news going, what? You know,
Hmm.
that in itself is can be overwhelming. But as a 26-year-old, how did you process this? Like what was your I mean, obviously you talked about it was a little bit just overwhelming, but how were you able to kind of process this? Go walk us through a little bit of that.
Well, I think something that helped me process it was I went to an AYA, so that's adolescent and young adult, those diagnosed between 15 and 39, an AYA support group that they have at my cancer center. Because I'm at an NCI designated cancer center, so they tend to have a lot of resources. And, a few people were there and they were diagnosed with glioblastoma. And people who know about that know that, it's very aggressive cancer type in the brain. And, it's not always a very good outcome. And so they were motivating me and they're telling me, yeah, you're new to this, you just been diagnosed. You're very stressed out and it'll be okay and you can't really control it. And so they explained it to me and when I saw how positive they were and they were living and doing well and they're diagnosed with what is, not a good outcome in majority of the cases, I'm like, okay, I could get through this. I need to figure out first and foremost what is the staging and what are the biomarkers on the tumor because that's as a researcher I'm thinking that's going to be indicative of what the outcome could be. And so when I found out it was 2B, I was like, okay, good, there's a 90 something percent chance that it's curative. And so then that helped me get through it. But in terms of processing, I mean, I think still at times I'm still processing it. I'm still processing, what happened to me and that I was diagnosed with cancer because then when you get back into normalcy, like my hair is growing back to the point where I can get braids in, then I forget. I'm like, I had cancer? Like, so it's I think it's a thing where you are always processing it, but you get better at dealing with the fact that you had cancer and accepting it. Acceptance is a big part.
Yeah. Yeah, you know those stages, right? It's just shock, it's denial, and acceptance, right? And
That's when
feeling
it's good, when you reach acceptance.
so do you have any siblings?
I have one sibling, an older brother.
Yeah. So here you are, the baby. Parents
Hmm.
are here in Miami. You're going through, the process of getting ready for all of these different types of procedures, surgery, chemo, radiation. Um, that in itself, did they talk to you about what was going to happen during chemo? And then how did you prepare yourself knowing I'm going to be sitting in this infusion chair for a while?
So for me, they did. I think they did a great job of walking me through every single thing, and they didn't want you to be surprised. But again, everything is quick, so you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be like, What's happening? What's happening?" And so I think again, me being involved in clinical research helped me because I kind of did know what was gonna happen to an extent. But obviously, when it's you going through it, that's much different. It's never gonna be you can never prepare for getting chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation. Having that chemo run through your veins, no, you can't really. But what I did to try to prepare was I did what I would like to call prehab. And so I worked out and prepared my body for, you know, what could potentially be what we call cachexia, which is cancer, I mean, muscle loss related to cancer. And so I wanted to get my body in as good of a state to be just ready for that battle. So I prepared for the battle, put that armor on, and that's what I did. I also made sure I had all good fruits and vegetables and a lot of protein and post-surgery, a lot of protein to help with recovery. And yeah, that was a lot what I did. That's my prehab routine.
Well, I love that. And for those listening in, that's a good point here. Your diet can help with your healing. So she talked about proteins, making sure you have the right diet, make sure your body is healing You're putting yourself in the best possible way of being able to heal as you go through these journeys and these processes of surgery and radiation, chemo. So, thank you for giving us a light on that. You know, you have a different perspective, right? Because you're coming from a research background where a lot of people who are diagnosed don't have that, right? They don't come from that medical background as research is concerned.
Mhm.
So how did that help you in your journey and going through treatments?
It helped me a lot. It helped me understand what was going on, and also it helped me in my decision making. So, for example, I spoke about how I did the unilateral mastectomy. A lot of people like to do the bilateral, but when you look at one of the big papers out of JAMA, you notice that there's no big benefit to getting the bilateral versus the unilateral. So just the disease tissue was what I had removed. And so as a result, I'm still able to breastfeed if I have children in the future, because I also froze my eggs prior because I knew that chemotherapy could impact my ability to have children. And so for me, I'm talking the first visit with my surgeon before I even had chemo. I'm talking the surgery because I did surgery, chemo, then radiation. I'm talking about, can I get my eggs frozen? So having this knowledge beforehand helped me with my planning and then working with my team. It was truly a team approach. I spoke to my doctors, and I was joint. It was a very much joint decision because of that.
Yes, which is extremely important. I love that.
Mhm.
Getting everyone involved and everyone on the same page because I mean honestly, this is your journey and
Mhm.
you are the captain how of your decision making, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. So how was it? Here you are, a power lifter, you're getting diagnosed. Were you able to still work out? And the reason I'm asking this question is because a lot of times people feel that they shouldn't do anything or they don't necessarily feel motivated to do anything, especially after something like that. So did you continue working out as you were going through the surgery, chemo, or radiation?
Yeah, throughout every single part. I never stopped. The only thing I would say is for the surgery, I stopped 2 weeks after because I was instructed you can't move your arm, this and that, whatever. But I would still walk. But throughout chemotherapy, yeah, I mean, and radiation, the whole thing. I'm talking no, less than 24 hours before my last chemo, I squatted 408 pounds, and it's right on my page. So to answer your question, long story short, no.
Yeah. No, you did not stop working out. You continued. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was very beneficial. It helped me have less side effects, feel normal. And, we encourage patients to work out. In fact, that's a lot of the research that I'm doing. We have cancer patients in the middle of chemotherapy who are working out. They're not powerlifting like me, which is, I don't recommend. Do something close to what you were doing before. Or if you weren't working out before, train like a beginner and work with a coach. But we encourage patients to do that, and then the expectation or the hypothesis is that they'll have better outcomes.
Yes. And I was hoping you could speak on that because you're not just saying work out because, oh, I love it. This is just my hobby and I love working out. You're saying work out because it has some beneficial factors as you're going through cancer, correct? So talk to us a little bit about that.
The big thing I want to talk about, it's twofold. So your older adults are typically who are diagnosed with cancer. You pressed on that. And then the second thing is one of the most prevalent cancer diagnoses is breast cancer. And if you're hormone positive, you can suffer from osteoporosis or other bone-related health issues. And so with strength training, we know that strength training can help you with prevention of bone loss. And also, if you're older adult, you're already having bone loss. So from the male side and from people who have other cancers, you do want to do resistance training because it can help you with your longevity. Because what do you want to do? You want to be cured of that cancer and live longer. And so it can help with that. And then when we talk about from a fatigue aspect, certain cancers, it has helped with fatigue and then obviously mental health. And there's just an abundance of ways that exercise can help you. And then diet, when you're going through cancer and chemotherapy, you see people lose weight. So if we can help you eat more and then eat better overall, you can also improve some of those other GI related side effects and just overall live better. And so there's a lot of things that diet and exercise can do, and then sleep and stress. So, sleeping more and not being stressed out, that's not good for you. When you stress, you say it's killing me, I'm gonna get a heart attack. It's actually not good. And you could feel it's not good for you. So, get some sleep and make sure your stress levels are low. If you gotta be stressed, make sure it's low. Not a lot of stress. Just chill out, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can look at the ACS guidelines, the American Cancer Society. They recommend diet and exercise guidelines for a reason because it helps.
Yes. And I would imagine here you are, 26. You're full of energy. This is already what you're doing. And to be able to stop that, no, you're like, no, we're not doing that, right? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, I love that about you. You find a way and to thrive. So after your radiation and chemo, you know, surgery, what was life in your outlook on life from that point moving forward?
My outlook has been truly YOLO. You only live once. And I feel like you have to live to the max and you can't stress out. Like it is never that serious. There's nothing that's that important that you need to be freaking out because at any moment you could be gone. And you might say, "You young, I have a long life ahead of me." If I didn't catch this cancer, who knows? If this was 50, 100 years ago, who knows? Like, so you never know when it's your time. So you gotta live to the max and just be grateful for everything. Spend time with family. So things that would have made me really mad or freaking out in the past, I don't even worry about no more.
You know that's it's interesting you were able to adopt the mindset that way and not stress because I mean it's easy to do. So talk to us a little bit how you were able to stay out of your head and stay present.
I mean, to be honest, what I did was I started advocating. I think that being on Instagram and doing things during treatment really helped me kind of get through that situation and have more support. I think support is what really gets you through these times.
Yes, 100%. And a lot of times, LaShae, people don't know where maybe their support's going to come from. You get newly diagnosed. You don't know. Everything is kind of up in the air. And for you, talk to us a little bit of how your support came, because you talked about the support groups. Maybe some people that are out here listening can have an idea on what they can do.
Yeah, I had support in many forms. So my parents were there for me, my family, the members in my lab were there for me, and then that support group. But also, I think Instagram, seeing people who were around my age going through the same thing. I think social media, obviously, it has its ups and its downs, but social media really helps you see other people going through similar things and hard things in general, and they get through and we're able to support each other and then go into events. So they have run walk events, they have community events, they have a lot of events for cancer survivors. So I mean, just showing up to those and meeting new people, it's important. And I use Cancer Buddy. It's an app that connects you with other cancer survivors and caregivers. So there's a lot of mediums and ways to get support, and that's just a few right there.
Yeah, I love it. So here we are. You started when you were 26. And what year was that?
It was 2024. Yeah.
Okay. So here you are now, 26, diagnosed, going finishing up 27. What is life like for you now?
I mean, it's never gonna be normal, but I'd say it's 80% back to normal. Plus, I'm doing a lot like other stuff. So for me, I'm still very much doing the research, still working with a lot of survivors, but it's from a different perspective. When I speak to them, I speak to them as a survivor myself. And I find that people open up to me much more and that my impact is much greater because I truly understand what it is people I'm trying to help are going through. Like when they say, oh, I have this side effect. Oh, I literally know. I had a hot flash too, girl. That's what I tell them. Pretend I'm talking to one of them. I'm be like, oh yeah, I'm going through that too. And so I truly get what people are talking about. And then I have opportunities now to travel all across America and go back home to the Bahamas and just speak to people and advocate, give keynote addresses and, just do things and appear on podcasts like your podcast and just try to spread the word and help others.
Yes. Well, you're doing a fantastic job at that. And we love your attitude. We love what you represent and how you're out here just making it happen. I mean, I think you're deadlifting way more than I can. I love it. I work out to stay healthy for one, and then also just keep a balance and aesthetically pleasing, you know what I mean? But powerlifting, it's a whole different beast. There's a lot of strength there. And so I need to make sure I have you around.
Yeah, we all strong. You got it.
Yes, yes. So for any young person, LaShae, that's listening in right now, has been diagnosed, what words of advice would you offer them?
I would say you might be young. You might be in that small group. It's only 78,000 of us diagnosed each year. Sounds bigger than it really truly is, but it's spread out across the US. You might feel like you're alone, but there are others who are going through, have went through, and will go through what you're going through. And so try to reach out and find a support group. You can join Cancer Buddy and, make sure that you're just taking care of yourself because at the end of the day, a lot of the times what we do is we try to make sure our parents are okay and we see them struggling, but you also have to find time to process yourself and feel out those emotions yourself. And don't be afraid to reach out to others. Don't be afraid to share what you're going through. And you can do this. You got this. And the true benefit to being diagnosed young is we still strong. So you should think about that. So you still got a lot of life left in you. Your body is still fighting.
Yes, I love that. And how does the future look for you, right? A lot of times people say don't look too far in the future, but here you are young, you've gotten this thing, somewhat behind you. How does that affect your perspective moving forward?
Yeah, the future for me looks like more of what I'm doing right now, advocating, finishing research, being a premier researcher in the cancer realm. Yeah, that's what I see myself doing. It's gonna be all cancer. I'm gonna be the cancer girl, like how you the cancer guy.
I love it. Listen, we're so open to it, and we thank you so much for coming on here on our show today, and just giving light for those that may be in darkness, and just also just being able to talk about your journey as a 26-year-old and how you put this behind you and moving forward. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us here, and it was an honor to be able to have you on our podcast today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and it was great chatting with you.
So listen to me. LaShae is an example of what life can be like after cancer. You don't let that define you. You go through something like this, and obviously it's life shaking, but it doesn't have to define who you are. It takes a shape, and it's a part of you, but it doesn't define you. So I hope you take away these gems that she's given to you and let you know, as I always say, you're not alone in this. We're in this together. This is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. Until again, I'm out.
So stay connected with us on All Talk Oncology Cancer Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that, right? Wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Apple, Spotify, make sure you subscribe and continue to spread that word, right? Engage in this because your engagement can help someone stay alive. And this is what we're talking about. So again, make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Again, this is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. Until again, I'm out.